Alright. That's down here. Okay. Alright. So tonight we're going to do a little review roundup of some Kickstarter games that we've recently played. Some less recently than others. But these are the three we've gone through. I kickstarted all these games. I thought this one in particular I was mostly for the cause, but the other two intrigued me. We've since played them all, and now we're going to give kind of our thoughts and do sort of a comparative analysis, saying what we liked and didn't like or what have you. Does anyone want to jump out and say, we don't need to really discuss what they are, I'll just do a little blurb or something describing what each game is.
Okay.
Insert here.
Mapmaker puts up to 4 players in the roles of the 4 biggest American political parties trying to draw district maps that will most favor their own party in upcoming elections. The play area is made up of hexagonal counties that are randomly assigned different amounts of voters aligned with a particular party. Each turn, players will place 4 district borders around the map, with the goal being to close off a group of at least 4, but no more than 7 counties into a district. In rare occasions, a district may contain 8 or more counties, but only when the district cannot be divided into 2 districts due to shape. The key, however, is that whichever color has the most points within that district gets all the points of that district, just like in the American Electoral College, with the losers receiving none. In the case of a tie, the person who completed the district gets to choose who keeps it. The game ends when all the counties have been placed into districts, and the winner is the party that won the most districts, or in the case of a tie, the one who won the most swing districts, which are signified in purple, or lastly, the one who had the fewest total votes for their party from their own districts. The goal of this drafting game for up to 4 players is to act as engineers and draft sections of a bridge in order to build the best bridge according to certain rules of construction. During setup, players are given pillar cards, which are the foundations for a bridge. Then a deck is assembled including different cards depending on the number of players. The cards include various types of bridge segments that can be tacked onto the pillar cards, as well as crown and monument cards which add decorative elements. Once the deck is assembled, the cards are laid out in a grid based on player count, and players begin drafting cards from the grid. Once the max number of cards per player have been drafted, the rest are discarded and a new grid is laid out before moving on directly to the building phase. Though if the deck has been used up, then the game ends after the building phase. In the building phase, each player simultaneously uses the cards they drafted to build their bridge according to the building rules. Any unused cards are discarded immediately. The building rules are basically this. Pillar and bridge segment cards will show different types of support, either suspension, cable, or truss. And in order to attach a pillar or segment to another, the support types at the connection must match. Segments also have numbers at the bottom, and these must be arranged in ascending or descending order between pillars, though they may switch directions once. Segments with toll or monument symbols at the bottom act essentially as a wild number, though tolls grant bonuses if placed adjacent to a pillar, and monument cards may destroy their segment if the segment is not successfully attached to another pillar by round's end, though if completed the monument provides bonus points. Pillars can be placed on top of other pillars, and higher levels score more points, so this may be tricky but worth the investment. Crowns can be placed on top of pillars for major point bonuses, but they can also close off the option of building higher from that spot. Bridge segments with matching symbols at the bottom result in additional points, which also stack with other multipliers. A feat die rolled at the beginning of the game sets out an additional condition for bonuses, while contracts set out a specific objective and are awarded to the first player to meet its conditions. The first player to collect 2 contracts wins. Shipwreck Arcana is for up to 5 players and has you play as fortune tellers drawing tarot cards cooperatively to determine your fate. The main card, called the Hours, is placed to the side and acts as a timer in your race against fate, where a doom tracker moves closer to the 7 for each mistake the players make. To set up, you shuffle the deck of Arcana cards and place 4 face up to the side of the Hours. These cards are essentially random hint cards that you have to try to use to give clues to the other players. Each player gets a number line token of their color, which is essentially just a clean set of numbers your teammates can use to visually keep track of which numbers they might be trying to guess, and then 21 fate tokens are placed into a bag in the center area. The fate tokens showing numbers 1 through 7 are what you will try to get your team to guess, depending on which ones you draw. The tokens also have pips on the side, which show the number of hours the token consumes, or in other words, how quickly the Arcana cards will fade, meaning flip over. On one's turn, the player draws 2 fate tokens from the bag, or just 1 if you carried one over from the previous round. Select one of your tokens and place it under one of the 5 upturned cards in the play area, with the goal of suggesting that the Arcana card somehow gives a clue as to the number on the token that you kept secret in your hand. Where you place the token should give information about the other token you kept secret, and where you did not place the token provides even more information. The other players can then take a guess as to which other number you have or pass. A correct guess moves the green marker around the hours, while an incorrect guess moves the doom tracker. When fates are placed in front of an Arcana card, count the total number of pips, and if these meet or exceed the moons on the bottom of the card, and the other players do not make a correct guess on the same turn, the Arcana card fades and flips over and is moved below the play area. When this happens, a new Arcana card takes its place, the doom tracker advances by 2, and the fated card can grant a one-time special ability that once used sends the fated card back to the bottom of the deck. The game ends when either the score tracker or doom tracker reaches the 7th spot on the hours.
Out of these 3 games,
Yeah.
what would you say was your favorite? Any strengths, weaknesses, anything that you recall? This one we played tonight. For me, I would probably... This is actually like... Now that I'm sitting here and actually trying to give an answer, it's kind of tough.
Sure.
I really... No, go ahead.
I would say, I know it's the most recent, but I'd say my favorite was the Mapmaker game.
Really?
And I was just had the most fun with that one. Wasn't overtly difficult. I think it's a game that it's be pretty easy to teach once you know it, and
Yes.
Are we doing 3 or 4?
Just 3 games.
Mapmaker, wasn't that the politician?
Yeah.
Shipwreck Arcana is cool. I love the idea. Like I said, I don't know if I'm just like dumb or if it was just too late in the night for me, but I had like problems trying to, like I would put a card down and I'd think that was like, okay, this is amazing, this is a brilliant move, it's nice and strategic, and it ended up being like the dumbest move I could have made. And like I'm trying to remember. So you're trying to get like you're trying to like
Your teammates to guess the cards.
Yeah, we had to get
the cards that you have, if I'm remembering.
we had the little tiles.
Okay.
We had the little tiles that were drawn out.
That's
of the
right,
bag,
draw them out
and
of the
then
bag.
they had numbers on them, and you'd have to try to get the teammates to guess one number you would use to give a clue, and the other number the team would have to guess. Try to guess what it was, and you would try to narrow it down for them based on mathematical clues on these tarot cards.
And you're trying to you're trying to steer them towards a certain number that it's on one of your tiles. And I lay a card down and think, okay, this is foolproof. They're gonna get the number, and then I'd go like the complete opposite direction and guess. And it
Ricky,
just
why
throws
did
my
you
whole
do this?
plan off. Yeah.
Could have been this or this. What are you doing?
So
Like it's surprising how much you had to think about the card. Cody actually kind of excelled
Cody
at
kicked
that
ass
game.
in that game, yeah.
But for me too, like I would have to sit and think for kind of a while, like, oh wait, there might be unintended ways of interpreting this card that, I jump to, I want them to guess 4, so therefore they will think 4. But then it's like, well, really there might be more than one option, and then if there's more than one option, really, it doesn't help them.
It's an overthinker's nightmare, worst nightmare. Really.
I've heard a lot of people say this game's too easy, and I don't know if we're just stupid or what the case is, but we didn't have that experience at all. It might be that different numbers of, if you have a different higher number of people playing it, maybe it's easier or harder based on that. I don't know. I think they did say that if you play it with like 2 people, it might be kind of harder. So it might be that with 3, we're getting towards that end of the scale. But so but that's kind of challenging as opposed to, and then Rick preferred this one, sounds like.
Yeah.
So this would be like in the middle.
Yeah, it's in the middle.
Cody, what are your thoughts? Why don't you go next?
Well, I'd say they're all on a decent, fairly high up level, like a 7 or 8 out of 10 kind of situation. they're all really well made. I can see a lot of replayability. I would do the map game last for me, but again, it'd still be like a 7. It for what it is, it's good. It's easy to pick up and play. It would be good for families. You know, there's not a whole lot of explanation going on. You can easily reset it back up, do it again. You know, simple. There's something to be said for that kind of game. So it was good. I like the what was the original one?
Bridges to Nowhere.
Yeah, I like that a lot as well. A lot more strategy going on with that one. That one's actually pretty close to Mapmaker. It's one of those ones where like you think you know what you're doing, and then you do it, and you're like, damn it, I thought I could do this, but I guess I can't. And I guess we only played it like once or twice, but it was a little frustrating that way from time to time, but it was pretty good.
So this would this be a second? This is second place for you?
Yeah, kind of a standard kind of board game, like a, I don't know, the ones we've been playing recently, like a Sagrada or something like it. Kind of the same notes as far as strategy goes.
Like you draft at the beginning. You have a certain idea in your head of like a certain combo or a structure you want to make.
I'm gonna get that to that, but then if I can make it with this, that'll be better. And then it didn't work out.
And someone else got the card you wanted, or
but
whatever.
in a different format. But it's pretty good. I would rate it as my favorites. I'd like to play
Shipwreck Arcana
again. Yes. I trying to remember the initial setup and learning process. I don't think it was awful. I think it was pretty quick. I think it's fairly easy to pick up and play.
And I know the first time we played it, like we sat and thought for a very long time. Like the first time we played it, it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like now that when you know how to play it, you can play it in like 20, 30 minutes probably. But
it's pretty easy to pick up play, but there's a lot of strategy going on, and somebody can definitely. It's a nice little added bonus to a game, and somebody can be better than another one. I mean, that's the case for every game, but especially like something like this, like you can be inherently really good at it. It isn't just like. I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes math sometimes just makes a little bit quicker sense to some people. Like when you read it, like it's sort of like sentential or sentential logic. Like it's like sort of some people get it and some people don't, and it's like this the sort of thing where like maybe Rick just doesn't like it's like takes him a while. He's got to think it through like a math problem, whereas Cody just kind of reads it almost like language. Like, okay, well if it's this, that means that that means 5, 6, and 7 are out.
I guess I
know it's either 1 or 2.
And things. Like they said with like Bridges to Nowhere, it's kind of a bad way to describe it. Like they all take like skill and thought process, and obviously we just trade back and forth wins all the time. But this one in particular,
well, these take thought process. I would say
a different way. It's like
well, I would say that these take. Hold on. I think these take thought process to build a strategy. This takes thought process just to even play, like just to do a single move. To like, it's my turn. I have to go. Like you have to be able to understand what the card is saying your options are, and being able to play and follow that logic. And if you can't play accordingly, there's like a kind of an extra card you can kind of dump off. But then every time you do that, the fate meter rises, and so you have to like be careful with doing that too often.
Here's what it is, though. I can't remember the name of it. It's really one of the more popular games. It's the math version of that, but they're very, very similar in the way like you have to think of the way skills involved, the way you have to like interpret it with your mind, and not just like try to be strategic. It's the game where you have a team. 2 teams, at least, I don't know, a couple teams, and you have like the cards laid out. It's more of a word version where you can say like, oh, this is the word. I know what the word is when I'm trying to make them. Yeah, like where you're trying to make them guess a name, and you can say like whatever 2 things, and they'll have to guess the different. It's like that, where like you have to really like think about it in your head, and it kind of takes that kind of skill where it's like you have to actually. I don't know. It's a different kind of skill. where you have to use your brain like that and like be creative with your own mind.
And also read your teammates a little bit.
And read your teammates and know, like, I'm going to try to make them guess this thing. It's different than most other games where you're just like, I need to set that bridge up there, but if I do this, I can block him. It's like a different kind of strategy. I kind of enjoy those, so I like them the best.
I'm a super extra number one. This is a very close call for me between these two. I really enjoyed this game more than most of my peers for whatever reason. It's something vaguely educational about it, and I don't know, just something satisfying about it to me. I'm usually not a big fan of drafting games, but I think at the end of the day, I'm with Cody in that I think Shipwreck is probably my favorite as well. Mapmaker, I like all three of these. This decision's a lot harder than I'm making it sound. And kudos to the kids who invented Mapmaker and for what they're trying to do with it. Great mission, and like they came up with a quick little fun game that you can play outside the steps of the Supreme Court. Like, that's awesome. And it is great for a different type of audience probably than us, but I would still highly recommend it. I would still play it with people, like maybe even on a party night, just like here's a quick game that we can play.
And
but honestly, all of these are quick. Shipwreck Arcana is one of those games that's like there's something that hooks you about it, where it's like Cody said, you kind of play it differently than most games, where it requires critical thinking and logic and being you have to kind of check your work a little bit, like math. Yeah, and you have to. It's cooperative for one thing. Not both of these are not. So it's kind of like we're all trying to get to the same goal, and it's like, well, they didn't get my clue this time. They come back around. It's going to be a little harder because I'm going to have two different cards, and it gets progressively harder because there's always like, well, is the clue that they laid the one that narrows it down to a specific number, or did they just have no better card they could play? Which is like where that added difficulty comes in that a lot of the reviews I think overlook, is that like you never know if the card they're playing is like exactly describing the tile, the fate that they have to the exact number, or is it just like, well, this is the closest I could get. This is the best option I have is playing this card, but it doesn't describe exactly the number I want. So there's that gap of knowledge creates much more difficulty than I think the reviews give it credit for. And up to then, it's like a really, it's like solving a puzzle. It's like solving a clue, a murder mystery or something like that. Well, if it's not 2 or 3, I know it can't, and it's not an odd number, so that leaves 4 and 6. We already are down to a 50% chance of a guess. Let's go for it, or let's not. Let's strategize with the teammate who's allowed to talk, etc. It's just inherently captivating in a mystery-solving type way with numbers. And so it's intellectually stimulating. Maybe we're not as intellectual as we think because we found it more difficult than supposedly the average reviewer, but
I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. And then I think as far as the other two, I would just say Bridges to Nowhere is, I think, just kind of typical, what you can expect, kind of strategy. I think there's probably
lots of
a dozen other games that are kind of the same thing, but just in a different form. And then with Mapmaker, I like it. I like its simplicity. That's important to me. I don't necessarily always want to play a game that takes. We have Resident Evil. That takes like 40 minutes just to set up, and then you got like 80 rules. And this one you can almost play like you're playing poker or something. However, it would be nice if I think it would be. Not easy, but I think it wouldn't be too hard to come in with like an advanced set of rules, like this faction does this, or
risk reward, get bigger areas.
This area is worth more points, or just something to make it like a more complex version. Because as it is, it's just kind of one. It's a little too simplistic, but it's not. It's still really good. It's we have like I don't know. Played too many games, but like King of Tokyo or something like that. Like it's not complex at all, and that's a turn off to some people. But that's really nice for if you just want to let's play a quick game of that. It's solid.
And while we're on the subject of like ways we could improve games, like for Shipwreck, I would say the universal complaint about this game is that it doesn't implement its theme very well. It's supposedly a shipwreck tarot reader, whatever. It's like completely disregarded. Like there's no theme to this game other than the artwork. So like they could do something there with that. Just nowhere. What could they really do with this? Like I don't know.
The card's cool. They're like kind of hologrammy. That's neat.
The card. Well, those are the Kickstarter reward cards, the hologram ones. So not everybody has those. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to think of a way to improve this, which is why I'm tempted to like say it's better than I'm talking about it. But I don't know. At the same time, it's kind of like, well, that's everything there is to do with building a bridge. So
yeah, that's why I was saying, like, between these two, it's like this one's got like a high floor, low ceiling kind of thing, like where it's at. Like it's just good, it's quick, whatever. That one's like, I'm gonna mix this up, but that one's that's basically what that one is. It's like a low floor.
Cody, I'm gonna advise you to
high floor, low ceiling. It's just like it is what it is. There's not a whole lot going on, but it's pretty solid for what it is. And this one, like, it's not like amazing off the bat. And I wish that there were more advanced rules or like a expansion pack, because it could be much more. But it's good for what it is. That one's
any additional thoughts, Rick?
Yeah. Trying to think of what they could do to improve Mapmaker as far as if they did make an expansion. Obviously, it's like a game that's supposed to sort of mirror real life politics, at least in America.
You know what would make sense on this one is a legacy game, like where your candidate wins the election, and now you're in charge the next round, which makes it harder. You know, you have control to get the census or whatever, and now you can control more map making, and then the other teams maybe have to like unite or something like that. Like that, I don't know, half baked, but that would make sense here. It's like,
or something, or maybe something to like the more control you have, they throw something in there to make it harder. Like, of course, the more popular politician are, like the more control you have over a territory, the more blame you're also going to get when things go wrong. So maybe they can have like a popularity meter or like a polling meter where, oh shoot, well I was doing great, but now I'm not doing well in the polls, and maybe some of my territories may flip to another player or something like that.
It's like it's almost so simplistic that. Like, it achieves its goal. It's trying to show how simple it is to cheat the system and just make everything a numbers game and retrace lines so that they benefit your party. But at the same time, you lose a lot of the context and you lose a lot of the, like, real goings-on of, well, certain districts are drawn to be bigger so that you can group together more value for a certain district and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, it boils down and at the same time maybe oversimplifies to its detriment. But that's you can either err on the side of overcomplicating it or undercomplicating it. They probably went with the wiser choice here, but it's so simple that it just didn't captivate us. Like, it didn't make our brains have to work like this one did, which is fun if you do it right. So sounds like me, Cody, would go 1, 2, 3, and Rick would go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so the opposite. So again, we have a 2-to-1 complete disparity. But all right, those are our thoughts. Hope that was helpful.
Who farted?
Me.
Ricky.
I am now.
Okay.
Can I have a glass of water?
Mm-hmm.
Daddy, can I have a glass of water? Sure thing, sweetheart.
Glass of water. Okay, sweetheart. Press E to open doors and interact. Oh, there we go. That's what I need.
Green lights will guide you. What green lights?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what green lights it's talking about.
Oh, there's one.
Alright.
Does it have water in it?
Probably not. Oh. I guess I'm a bit of a silly father.
It doesn't have.
Fresh tap water. Just for my daughter.
What is this? Adrian's house?
Hey, you've
Straight
had
to
not
the sink.
had to drink a drop of tap water tonight, sir. I'll have you know.
That's just, he's just showing off because we're here. If we weren't here, he would go straight to the sink for no reason. He'd be like, cold
this is
filter
my room.
water. Piss on that. Drinking a lukewarm sewage water. I'm getting my cup and I'm walking down to the goddamn mommy. And I'm scooping it straight out because that helps my system ward off disease.
Oh boy.
Thanks, Dad.
Give away your location.
You're welcome.
Now shut up and go to bed.
Okay.
Can you shut off my light too?
Oh,
Sure thing.
Jesus! It's always something with this.
Alright. If you want me to.
This parenting thing hasn't turned out.
Wait a
the way
minute.
I hoped it would.
I don't have a daughter.
Daddy?
I don't.
Wait
have
a minute,
daughter.
I don't have a daughter.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
How many more of
These
these? over there?
games.
Oh
What
boy.
more will
What
this?
a bunch of
What will
crazy
think of that?
kooks.